Hello, welcome to my video. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. The topic is um, getting into houseplants, and hopefully you'll learn something and maybe make the jump in, become a plant person. Okay, so the very first thing that we're going to talk about is light. So if you want to have plants in your house, then you need to take into consideration how much light that you can offer. Because that's more, that starts your whole thing. You need to know if you have adequate light for the kind of plant that you want, or better yet, what kind of plant can you get for the amount of light that you have. Another thing you can do is you can supplement your available light, your light in your house, by getting plant lights that they sell on the internet. And for instance, my bedroom has a north-facing window, so the light isn't really very strong, very good for plants. And so because I want to have plants in here, I got a supplemental light. This is a GE LED plant bulb from Amazon. And they have the other one that has the different colors, or the red color in it. And a lot of the plant bulbs have either the red or the blue, or the red and blue to promote growth. And this one has the more natural looking light. You really, a lot of people will tell you, or the internet more likely, will say this plant doesn't need light and this plant can grow in a room with no windows and all these things. But your plant needs light. I'm sorry to tell you. Whether it's natural or artificial, it's going to need some light. But there are some varieties that they don't require as much as others. So we'll get to that a little later. The second thing I'm going to talk about is going to be drainage. So if you have your plant pot and you have a planter, you're going to want something that has holes in it. So if you look at your cute planter and you say, oh, I want that, but it has no holes in it, then you can't plant directly into that. So what you can do is you can get a liner. This one is a 3-pack, 4-pack, something from the Dollar Tree, and it's got holes in it, and it'll work well enough like the little nursery pots, and that just can pop right inside your planter. You plant inside of that, and that way any excess water can be drained and your plant won't drown, because that is a consideration. Now, you may not want to run out and buy a bunch of stuff, so another thing that you can do is use anything you have on hand. I've got a yogurt container here. It holds a decent amount of soil. You can cut slits for drainage, and then you can either pop that inside of another one, catch any runoff, or just put the lid underneath. And it may not be the cutest thing in the world, but it'll keep your plant alive. This is just a basket from some tomatoes, and it's got holes in the bottom already, and you can pop that inside of something else, or just sit it on a lid, again, some kind of lid or something to drain. Alright, now that we've covered that, the third thing is going to be watering. Now, more houseplants statistically are killed by overwatering than underwatering. We tend to use, just water, without thinking about it, or forget about watering completely and dump a bunch of water. The thing to do is find out what kind of plant you have and what kind of watering it uses. So I'm going to go through some nice beginner plants, and for these plants, you only water when the soil is dry to the touch. And for one variety I'm going to show you, you let it dry out completely in between waterings. So let's start with a very popular and fairly easy care plant. This is a nice pothos, and you see it has variegated foliage. There's different kinds, of course. Some have the solid green coloring, some have the the yellow streaks is the typical one, and so on. Oh, speaking of watering though, a plant like a pothos, or even this Monstera Adansonii, you can just put them in some water, and then you don't have to think too hard about their water levels, and they could live like that for a while. Or I potted these in moss, and this actually does need some water, and they've been in here for months, and they've been pretty happy just getting watered that way. So pothos, P-O-T-H-O-S, pothos, whatever. They're fairly easy to find. You should be able to find that in many of your big box stores. And they are not too demanding of light. They have a really nice trailing form when you let them go. They're easy to propagate, which means take a cutting and grow some more. You only water them when the top of the soil is dry, and even if you let it go a little longer than that, it's gonna forgive you. So you don't want to overwater. You will get root rot and dead plants, and you don't want to underwater too much. You know, they'll start to droop and everything before they completely die. But you do want to be mindful of the water level. Okay, so I'm going to move to my next plant, and I have here a syngonium or arrowhead vine. This particular variety has some pink spotting on the plant that I really like, but your average one just has the green. Some of them have a lighter color on them mixed in, and there's just a lot of varieties of that, once you get into it. But just pick one. They need a bit more light, I find, than the pothos, but they're really fairly easy carry. Again, you can let that one dry out and it won't be too mad at you, but do water it every now and then. And this one is another favorite of mine. This is Peperomia, and it's also called a baby rubber tree. Peperomia obtusifolia, I think this one is. This one has nice variegation. It's not related to rubber tree at all, but it is practically a succulent from the point of view of care. You can really let this dry out quite a bit. It needs an okay amount of light, but it's a good starter plant. It has these nice thick leaves, and it hangs on to the moisture, and it's really pretty and everything. So I have here two varieties of snake plants, and this is a really good starter plant because it does not require a lot of light. They'll grow faster if you let it have adequate light, but it's not going to be too dramatic if you don't have that much light. They're really easy care. They're hard to kill. You can let these are more intolerant of less watering. You can let them get really dry between waterings, and they kind of prefer it. At some point we'll get into other things like potting soil and stuff, but that'll be another video. And now I'm saying a bunch of times. Anyway, your other option, if you like the beauty of plants in your home and you have a bit of a black thumb, is, and let me see if I can detangle this, is artificial plants. I do not have anywhere near enough light anywhere in my house to grow roses inside, but I have these really nice looking fake roses from IKEA, and IKEA in particular has some really nice fakes. They have different kind of hanging plants and stuff, and I really want to get some just to touch up some darker corners of my house, and that way we will have the beauty of plants in some parts of the house that aren't really all that conducive to growing the plants ourselves. So hopefully that will help you green up your black thumb a little bit, and let me know if you want to know anything else or talk about anything else, and I'll see you in the next video. Good luck and happy planting.